And so from here, we go into the further process of the review. They've heard over 200 submissions on the CTA review, and the CTA review is more than just rail transportation, and more than just grain rail transportation. There's air, there's water, there's ports, and so I believe there's over 800 pieces of legislation that will be reviewed during this process, so a huge task. But as far as the grain part, they have, at the end of June, they sort of had a soft target there. That would be when the last of the submissions come in, and they continue to hear verbal submissions and have individual conversations with groups through July, and July 30th will be the very last of those consultations, and it'll be with the Crop Logistics Working Group, which Mark Hemis, Greg Northey, and Dan Mazer, who were here at the meeting today, all participated in. Oh, and Steve Pratt from Canola Growers. But from there, they start their final thoughts for making recommendations. I believe it's August 13th. And the final report is due December 24th of 2015. So in between there we have an election, and so we're hoping whoever the new government is, whether it continues to be Conservative, whether it's Liberal or NDP, who knows, but we're hoping that Transport Minister takes a very serious look at these recommendations, and we encourage producers out there to talk to your local candidates for this federal election and ask them what their thoughts are on the CTA review. We've been meeting with federal candidates provincially, and they say, is this an election issue? It's only an election issue if we make it an election issue. So I encourage every one of you out there that sees this to talk to your federal candidates within your constituency and see where they stand on the CTA review. So if we look at the last review, the MRE came out of that, maximum revenue entitlement. But that came out immediately. But before any of the other recommendations came to pass, it was 7 years in between. 2006, 2007 was the first of the other recommendations to be brought forward. We cannot wait that long. We need to go through this systematically and start, maybe not December 25th, but in early January, after this government has had a chance to look at the report, and they've maybe got their feet a little bit wet if they're a new governing party, or if they're the current governing party, then we need to be pushing this with them and make sure that they take it seriously. We cannot let this die. We have to keep it in front of you, the farmers. We need to keep it in front of the government. We need to keep it in front of media and the general public to know that this is not just an ag issue. This is a Western Canadian, no, it's a Canadian economic issue, because we are an exporting country and we depend on on-time delivery of goods to the port, to export position, so that we can be continued to be seen as a reliable supplier of goods to the world. The last 2 years have put a real negative mark on the Canadian industry, not just agriculture, but potash and other commodities. We need to push this forward. I'll leave it there.